Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of The Specialists from my good friend, Slickrock. I'm Dan. I'm just here to introduce the show and basically the series of shows that you're going to be able to get from Slickrock, who you may remember gave you Fantasy 101 leading up to the start of this season. That was during the draft season part of the schedule. I think there were 6, maybe 7 episodes where Slickrock took you through how to draft, how to build a team, and just the building blocks of fantasy basketball. Well, now Slickrock is going to take you to the other side of the equation. Instead of how to start your team, how to finish your team. And these shows are about finding specialists that fit your team build, figuring out what your team build really is, and then how to utilize these players as you hit the stretch run in the fantasy basketball season and roll on into the fantasy basketball playoffs. We're going to keep them at, again, much like our DFS shows, kind of bite-size, an opportunity for you guys to find a few players that really jump out, and you can hang out with Slickrock in the process. Before we get to that, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or, welcome, first-timer, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. They've got the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA, college hoops, NHL, UFC, props, odds, live betting, opportunities to watch things as you bet. BetOnline, because of all that, continues to be your number one sports betting source. Taking you from every three-pointer to hat trick and right on back again, BetOnline has you covered while you cover with odds, stats, and more on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Shut up, Dan. It's Slickrock time.
Hello again, everybody. My name is Slickrock, and I'm really happy to be back with you. Happy belated 2025. I hope the start of this new year has been going swimmingly for you and yours, and I also hope that this fantasy season has been fulfilling. I hope you're having fun, hope you're making good moves, and I hope that you're finding that sense of success that we talked about when I ran Fantasy NBA 101 in the lead up to the season. We looked at how those first and second year managers can really set themselves up for success. But now I'm going to be shifting gears, and I'm going to be talking with you all about specialists, your team build, and targets for your team based on who you've gotten off the wire and who you drafted this year. I really hope this episode hits before your trade deadline comes to an end, and even if not, I'm going to be mentioning guys that you can pluck off the wire and should be on and off of rosters throughout the rest of the year. All right. First thing I want to do is make sure that you know what your team is good at. I hope at this point you have some sort of idea. If you've been using the Yahoo app, which is super helpful, an easy way to pick up, drop players, and manage your team, you're missing out on a lot of the good features they have that you can only find through a browser. So opening up Yahoo through a browser is a crucial step in making sure you understand your team build at this point of the season. So go ahead, go through Chrome, Safari, whatever it may be, and navigate yourself to the Fantasy NBA homepage. From there, you will see the League tab. Click on that. Go down to Team Stats. You can see your win-loss record against each person throughout the season, and you can also see where you're at in totals. The totals number, I think, is more important. You can get lucky on certain weeks, and you can give yourself a false sense of what you may or may not actually be good at. But that totals number will give you a much more realistic indication on where you stand compared to the other teams in your league. So go ahead, take a second, pull that up, check where you're at, find out where you're good, where you're poor, where you're going to give up on. All right. So we're there. We made it. Let's go ahead and check out 2 basic types of builds that people tend to fall into. The first one is a guard build. The next one is a big man build. If you have that guard build, chances are you have good free throw percentage, threes, points, assists, and steals. Might be good on rebounds, potentially low on blocks. Your field goal percentage is probably pretty low, and you have high turnovers. That's all okay. That's a great way to play. The other way that people tend to fall into is having a big man build. When you have a big man build, you end up going for field goal percentage, points, rebounds, blocks. You have to get assists or steals in there as well. Chances are you have low free throw percentage, maybe low threes, and turnovers can be a toss-up. So Now that you know where your team sits in one of those two builds, I want to talk with you about people that you can target off the wire or through trades from other teams that can bolster your team to really propel you towards those playoffs. Let's talk guard builds first. When we're talking guard builds, I'm going to be focusing more on centers and forwards because chances are you have 6 elite guards already. All right. So the first few I want to mention are the centers. Let's talk about Nikola Jovic. I know things are up in the air. The Heat are in a transitional period. They got rid of Jimmy Butler. They brought back 3 pieces. Those rotations are going to look skewed for a while up until All-Star break, probably after. But Jovic is a really promising young player who is worth rostering, especially if you have a guard build. This is a guy who shoots about 500 from the field, and over the last, month, I think he was at 88 from the free throw line. Over the last month, again, ranked number 85, 2.6 threes, 14 points, 4.5 boards, 4.5 assists. Again, 4.5 assists from a center is incredible. A steal, half a block, 2.4 turnovers. This is a guy who is built like a guard, not built like a guard physically, but stat set wise, but he comes with that power forward center denotation, so you can slot him into spots that you might be struggling with. I know it's a risk, but I also think that it's probably a risk worth taking. See if you can find him on the wire. See if you could buy him for super cheap. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets dropped over this next couple of days as his minutes fluctuate, as Miami kind of finds their new normal. The next name I want to talk about is Santi Aldama. This guy is ranked number 99 on the season, 160 over the past month, but he's been going through injuries and is just trying to come back. Another guy who shoots 50% from the field on the season. His free throws aren't as good. He's in the low 70s, but it's on low attempts, so it's probably not going to hurt you. But he's another center who gets you threes, about 1.5, 2 threes per game, 13 points, 6.7 boards, 2.5 assists, a steal, half a block, low turnovers. I think that he's worth buying on because the Grizzlies sold off a few of their parts at the trade deadline. They don't have Jake LaRavia anymore. They're going to have to lean into their guys like Santi Aldama to play a few more minutes and take a few more touches. He is somebody I would look at to see if he's on the wire. And again, if you have a guard build, try to find someone who doesn't fit that is cheap, somebody at the end of your bench, and see if you can swap them out for Santi Aldama. Now, my last one is somebody who is an obvious choice, Miles Turner. He's kind of the go-to center for guard builds. JJJ Cat. But the thing with Miles Turner is that he's having a down spurt in the season. He is a big-time buy low right now. His managers could be getting frustrated. He's probably going to be on their IL for a while. See if you can throw out a bit of a low ball offer, a top 75 guy with some name value, and bring back Miles Turner onto your team. He is definitely worth rostering, especially if you have a guard build, and especially if you're not punting on blocks. So keep those 3 names in mind. Look at the wire for the first 2. Turner, throw out a low ball offer. Maybe you can bring him back. All right, time to shift gears. We're going away from centers. We're going down to that forward position. And I have 3 names on my list that I think are worth looking for. They are Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and Denny Advia. Miles Bridges is the last man standing. He may be a bit too expensive to buy on because of that. His numbers are going to be inflated when they don't have literally anyone around him who is a starting level NBA player. He's been about number 72 on the season, 40 over the last week, and he has those big time popcorn numbers, meaning that he gets you points, rebounds, assists. Those defensive stats, not great. Don't depend on him for defensive stats, but depend on him for those big popcorn numbers, and those are really helpful. It also, again, might take too much to buy on him because of, first of all, he's got a name that people recognize. Maybe not for the best reasons, but they do. And also, he's the last guy standing, so he's going to take every shot for that team over the next while. Next person to look at is PJ Washington, number 85 on the season. He is a 1-1-1 guy. That means 1 3, 1 steal, 1 block. There could be some sense of a buy low, maybe not. I know that there's some injury stuff going on. Gafford's out now. AD is out, but PJ hasn't been playing much. See if you can grab him before he comes back and throws up some big games for his fantasy managers. That team's going to be going through change. Post-trade deadline, they made some moves. We'll just call them moves. And PJ is probably going to end up still having a prominent role, especially now that Gafford's out for a while. AD, who knows? PJ is going to keep on taking on a bigger role, and his numbers are great for a guard build. Not a great free throw shooter, but everything else matches the stat set that you are looking for. Last but not least, Denny Avdia. 133 on the season, 155 over the last 2 weeks, but that is on the back of poor shooting, lower minutes, and high turnovers. I think that he could be had pretty cheap. Again, I'm not going to tell you all who the early round guys are that you should go for. You know who these are. But these late round guys can really bolster a team if they fit the build that you are looking for. So go ahead, see if Denny's on your waiver, and if not, see what manager has him and if they're getting tired of him with these wonky minutes that have been happening recently. All right, let's shift gears one more time and look at some big man builds. With the big man stuff, I'm going to be focused fully on guards. Guards are the position that you're probably not going to be too full on, right? You probably have several up to 4, 5, maybe 6 big man on your roster, but those guard slots are hard to find players that match what you are looking for. My honorable mentions are guys that you will probably not be able to pry away from the managers who have them. Amin Thompson, Dyson Daniels. They're going to be too hard to get and too expensive. If you can and you are willing to, go ahead. They are great for a big man build, but it might be an overpay from what you are expecting. The first person I want to highlight, Isaiah Collier from the Utah Jazz. He is ranked 103 over the last week, 173 on the last month. You have to be able to take a hit to your field goal percentage. He is going to bring that down. But if you are in a solid place and are happy to give that up, he is somebody that you could buy on. He won't get you many threes, and he's a high turnovers guy, but he gets you a huge boost to assists. So when you see a guy like Isaiah Collier, who is 103 over the last week, and you see that he's hitting less than half of a 3 per game, know that his value is tied up somewhere else. Right? That's why these guys fit your build so well. He's not a guard who's chucking, getting 3 a game, and that's where their value is. No, he's going to get you points. He's going to get you assists. He's going to get you high turnovers, but he's going to match what you need, especially as a big man team who maybe isn't giving up on assists. He would be somebody who could really help you out. Next person I want to highlight, Josh Giddey. He's the perfect addition to any big man build. 108 on the season, 67 over the past month. Again, perfect for the guard build. He is that idea of a Miles Bridges, but more of a Josh Giddey with those popcorn numbers. Big points, medium points, good boards, good assists from that guard position, low threes, nice free throw percentage for what it is, good steals, some blocks. Again, fits the big man build really, really well. I would say if you can, go out and buy on him. I know that Chicago is in a bit of flux as well. Worth buying on him if you can. The last ones I'm going to mention are going to be mentioned together, and these are some Indiana Pacers players. Let's go Pacers. TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard. I prefer Nembhard if you can get him on a Giannis build or a big man build. He is generally strong when it comes to that field goal percentage, and his value is not tied up in threes. Nice steals, all-around solid player for what you're looking for if you want to get a guard on your big man build team that doesn't bring his value in these other categories you don't necessarily need. Next, TJ McConnell. Almost guaranteed he's on your wire somewhere. Such a specialist. Low rostership numbers, no threes, pump points. You have to be ready to be low there. Solid assists and steals. So those are my weekly specials. Well, not weekly. Those are my this week specials. And weekly, they'll change up. I hope that you gave this a second to have a listen to it. I hope that you can find it interesting or some sort of value out of it. In the following episodes, I will dive into more specific punt builds rather than just big man or guard, but I wanted to start with an overview and mention some names that I think can really bolster a team that are probably going to be pretty available. So again, look who is on your roster, look who is in the same range of ranking that don't fit your build, and throw out some trade offers, see what you can get coming back. Who else you want to see? You let me know, right? I want to hear from you. Who are your specialists? Who are the people that you think are worth rostering? Who should the smart fantasy manager look out for to add to their team? If you want to, hit me up on the Discord. I'm happy to talk with this stuff. Old man squad, baby. All right. I'll talk to y'all next week. Have a good one.
Slickrock, ladies and gentlemen, coming back at you after all these months. Gave you the Fantasy 101 rundown. Now giving you the Fantasy 201. This is the upper division stuff, how to build those specialist teams and make that playoff push. It's so important, as my dog is barking at me, it's so important this time of year to make sure that you're leaning into your team's strengths. But let me tell you about UnderdogFantasy.com first. UnderdogFantasy.com is amazing. Pick'em games are so much fun. All you got to do is go to UnderdogFantasy.com, pick higher or lower on 2 or more players, and there you go. You could win up to 2,000 times your entry fee. And if you sign up right now, use promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN, or just click the link in the show description. That's the easiest way to do it. Old Man, you can unlock up to $1,000 in deposit bonus cash and a free play that you can use on your first card, second card, whatever. You use it whenever you so choose, and it makes that just a little bit easier. The nice thing about UnderdogFantasy.com, you don't need to put a whole bunch of things together. You don't need to understand DFS to do it. Just pick higher or lower on 2 players on the card. That's it, and you're off and running. Shout out to Slickrock. He is so awesome. I'm so glad that he came up with this idea for a series of shows of players to target to lean into your team-specific build, because that is how you win 5-4-6-3 in your playoff weeks. That's how you win 5-4-6-3 as you're pushing towards the playoffs in your fantasy leagues. Again, a bit more head-to-head specific, but not exclusively. In Roto, you can use these guys as well to track down stats in certain categories. Let me get the hell out of here. This ain't my show. This is Slickrock Show. Thank you to BetOnline. Thank you to UnderdogFantasy.com. Thank you to Slickrock. I'm Dan for the Old Man Squad. Subscribe to the channel if you made it this far. You got to do it. Hit that like button to make sure that everybody knows that this is a video worth watching. We'll see you guys soon. Obviously, a lot going on this channel, including baseball. Baseball videos are coming from Joe Orico as well. We've got these specialist shows. We got DFS. We got my daily fantasy show on basketball. Old Man Squad is hopping, and the only way to get it all is to hit that subscribe button on the way out. See you later for now, everybody.